HOA Karen hates the new girl in her neighborhood. At graduation, Karen kicks her in the face, blood everywhere. But Karen doesn't know one thing: the school principal is the girl's mother. What happens next will make you cry and cheer. The revenge is perfect. Watch till the end. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. The gymnasium was filled with proud parents and happy graduates. 17-year-old Maya Rodriguez stood in line wearing her white graduation gown. Her hands shook as she held her diploma folder. After years of struggle, this moment finally arrived. But Maya's joy died when she saw Susan Mitchell walking toward her. Susan Mitchell was the HOA president of Clearwater Heights. Everyone called her the Karen. She had blonde hair styled in the signature shortcut. Her face always looked angry. For 6 months, she had made Maya's life a living hell. "You," Susan hissed, pointing her manicured finger at Maya. "You don't belong here. You're trash. Your kind ruins neighborhoods." Maya's throat tightened. She wanted to disappear. Other students turned to watch. Some parents whispered. "Please, Mrs. Mitchell," Maya said softly. "It's graduation day. Can we just..." "Shut your mouth." Susan's voice echoed through the gym. "Your mother is a criminal. You live in my neighborhood illegally. I don't care what your fake documents say." Tears filled Maya's eyes. She had worked so hard. Perfect grades. Volunteer work. Scholarships to 3 universities. None of it mattered to people like Susan. "Mrs. Mitchell, you need to leave," a teacher said, approaching them. Susan's face turned red. "I'll leave when I'm ready. This girl's family is bringing down property values. They park their old car on the street. They hang laundry outside. They cook smelly food. We follow all the rules," Maya whispered, her voice breaking. "We paid all the fees. We..." "Liar." What happened next shocked everyone. Susan Mitchell raised her designer shoe and kicked Maya directly in the face. Maya's head snapped back. Blood exploded from her nose. She fell backward, hitting the gym floor hard. Her white gown turned red. Students screamed. Parents gasped. "That's what you get," Susan shouted. "That's what happens to people who don't know their place." Maya lay on the ground, blood pouring from her nose and mouth. Pain shot through her face. She couldn't breathe. The world spun. She heard voices, screams, chaos. Through her blurred vision, Maya saw someone running toward her. A woman in a black suit. The woman dropped to her knees beside Maya. "Baby," the woman whispered. "My baby girl." Maya knew that voice. She knew those hands that gently touched her face. "Mom," Maya choked out through the blood. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, principal of Clearwater High School, held her daughter while security guards grabbed Susan Mitchell. "Get your hands off me!" Susan shrieked. "Do you know who I am? I'm on the school board. I donate money. I'll have all your jobs." Elena's eyes were dark with rage. But when she looked at Maya, they filled with tears. "Call 911, Elena said calmly. "And call the police. I want this woman arrested. You can't do this." Susan screamed. "I'm pressing charges against her. That girl's family is..." "That girl," Elena said in a voice like ice, "is my daughter. And you just assaulted a minor in front of 300 witnesses." Susan's face went white. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish. "Your daughter?" Susan whispered. "My daughter," Elena repeated. She stood up slowly. She was tall, taller than Susan. Her voice carried across the silent gymnasium. "The daughter you have harassed for 6 months. The daughter whose life you tried to destroy because you didn't like the color of her skin or the sound of her last name. 6 months earlier, Maya and her mother had moved to Clearwater Heights. It was a nice neighborhood with good schools. Elena had been hired as the new principal of Clearwater High. It was her dream job. They bought a small house at the end of Maple Street. It wasn't fancy, but it was theirs. Elena had saved for years. She was a widow. Maya's father had died when Maya was 10. They only had each other. Elena kept their relationship private at school. She didn't want Maya to be treated differently. She wanted her daughter to make friends naturally, to be judged by her character, not by her mother's position. Just for the first year, Elena had told Maya. Let people know you for who you are. Then we'll tell them. Maya agreed. She was used to being independent. She was mature for 17. She had to be. She had watched her mother work 3 jobs to put food on the table. She had seen her mother cry over unpaid bills. She had held her mother's hand at her father's funeral. But they were happy. They had each other. They had hope. That hope died when they met Susan Mitchell. Susan knocked on their door 3 days after they moved in. She came with a clipboard and a fake smile. Welcome to Clearwater Heights, Susan said. I'm Susan Mitchell, HOA president. I need to discuss some violations. Elena was confused. Violations? We just moved in. Your car, Susan said, looking at their old Honda. It's parked on the street. That's not allowed after 10 p.m. And that garden gnome in your front yard? Not on the approved decoration list. Also, your grass is 2 inches too long. We'll fix everything, Elena said politely. But it never stopped. Every week, Susan found new violations. The mailbox was the wrong color. The welcome mat was too large. The porch light was too bright. The fence needed painting. The tree needed trimming. The doorbell was too loud. Each violation came with a fine. $50. $100. $200. Elena paid every fine. She followed every rule. But Susan always found something new. Then Susan started targeting Maya. Maya would walk to school, and Susan would follow her in her car, taking pictures. Maya would wait at the bus stop, and Susan would call the police, claiming a suspicious teenager was loitering. Maya would sit in her front yard doing homework, and Susan would complain about noise. Susan posted on the neighborhood Facebook group. She called Maya that Mexican girl, even though Maya was born in California. She said Maya and Elena were probably illegal. She claimed they were bringing down the neighborhood. Some neighbors defended them. But many stayed silent. They were afraid of Susan. She had power. She had connections. She was on the school board. She knew the mayor. She had money. Maya tried to ignore it. She focused on school. She got straight A's. She joined the debate team, the science club, the volunteer program. She tutored younger kids. She worked at the library. She never told her mother about the worst parts. The way Susan would accidentally bump her cart into Maya at the grocery store. The way Susan's friends would laugh when Maya walked by. The way Susan told other parents not to hire Maya for babysitting. Maya stayed strong. She smiled. She studied. She dreamed of college, of leaving Clearwater Heights forever. Her mother worked late most nights. Being a principal was demanding. Elena wanted to make Clearwater High better. She implemented new programs. She increased graduation rates. She got funding for arts and sports. The school board loved her. Parents respected her. Students trusted her. But at home, Elena was just mom. She made Maya's favorite foods. She helped with homework. She gave advice about boys and friends and life. They never talked about Susan's harassment. Maya didn't want to worry her mother. Elena didn't know how bad it had gotten. Until graduation day. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics checked Maya's injuries. Broken nose. Split lip. Concussion. Bruised cheekbone. She needs to go to the hospital, the paramedic said. I'm going with her, Elena said. Mom, your speech, Maya whispered. Her face was swollen. You're supposed to give the graduation speech. Baby, you are my speech, Elena said, tears streaming down her face. You're everything. Police officers took statements. 30 students recorded the attack on their phones. The videos were already going viral on social media. Susan Mitchell sat in the back of a police car, still screaming. This is a mistake. That girl provoked me. She's been harassing me. Her family doesn't belong here. I was defending my neighborhood. The police officer looked at Susan with disgust. Ma'am, you kicked a 17-year-old girl in the face at her graduation. There's no defense for that. I want my lawyer. Susan shrieked. At the hospital, doctors examined Maya. The damage was significant but not permanent. Her nose could be fixed with surgery. The bruises would heal. But the emotional scars would take longer. Elena sat beside Maya's hospital bed, holding her hand. I'm so sorry, Elena whispered. I should have known. I should have protected you. Mom, you didn't know, Maya said. I didn't tell you. Why? Why didn't you tell me what she was doing? Maya's eyes filled with tears. Because you were so happy. You finally got your dream job. You were making the school better. I didn't want Susan to ruin that for you. She's on the school board, Mom. She has power. I thought if I just stayed quiet, if I just got through this year, it would be okay. Elena's heart broke. Her brave, strong daughter had suffered in silence to protect her. No more silence, Elena said firmly. No more hiding. Susan Mitchell will pay for what she's done. The next morning, the story was everywhere. HOA president assaults teen at graduation. School board member arrested for attacking student. Viral video shows Karen kicking girl in the face. The videos had millions of views. People around the world saw Susan Mitchell's attack. They saw Maya's blood. They heard Susan's hateful words. The comments were brutal. This woman is a monster. That poor girl. She's just standing there and this Karen attacks her. The principal is her MOM. Susan didn't even know. What an idiot. This is racism. Plain and simple. I hope they throw her in jail forever. The school district opened an investigation. The HOA board called an emergency meeting. The police pressed charges: assault, battery, hate crime, child endangerment. But Elena wanted more. She hired the best lawyer in the state. She filed a civil lawsuit against Susan Mitchell for assault, harassment, defamation, and emotional distress. She demanded $1 million in damages. She also started investigating Susan's reign as HOA president. What Elena discovered shocked everyone. For 5 years, Susan had abused her power. She targeted families she didn't like. Hispanic families. Asian families. Black families. Single mothers. Elderly couples on fixed incomes. Anyone she considered not right for Clearwater Heights. Susan would create fake violations. She would fine families until they couldn't afford to live there anymore. She would make their lives so miserable that they sold their homes and left. Elena found 12 families who had fled the neighborhood because of Susan. She found financial records showing Susan had pocketed some of the fine money. She found emails where Susan bragged about cleaning up the neighborhood. The evidence was overwhelming. 3 months later, Susan Mitchell stood trial. The courtroom was packed. News cameras lined the walls. Maya sat in the front row, her mother beside her. Maya's nose had healed, but a small scar remained on her lip. She said she would keep it as a reminder. A reminder that silence helps bullies, Maya told reporters. A reminder that we have to speak up. Susan's lawyer tried everything. He claimed Susan had been under stress. He said she had mental health issues. He argued that Maya had provoked the attack. But the videos didn't lie. They showed Susan approaching Maya. They showed Susan yelling insults. They showed Susan kicking an unarmed, non-threatening teenager in the face. Witness after witness testified. Students described Susan's harassment. Teachers explained how they had reported her behavior to the school board, but nothing happened. Neighbors admitted they had been afraid to speak up against her. The 12 families Susan had driven away told their stories. A Vietnamese family who lost their home. A Mexican family whose children were bullied. A black family whose car was vandalized. The jury heard about the financial fraud. They saw the hateful emails. They listened to voicemails where Susan used racial slurs. Throughout it all, Susan showed no remorse. She sat with her arms crossed, rolling her eyes, checking her phone. She seemed bored by the suffering she had caused. When Maya took the stand, the courtroom fell silent. Maya described 6 months of torment. The constant violations. The harassment. The fear. The nights she cried herself to sleep. The mornings she didn't want to go to school. The times she thought about ending it all because the pain was too much. I worked so hard, Maya said, tears running down her face. I just wanted to make my mom proud. I just wanted to graduate and go to college and have a future. But Mrs. Mitchell told me every day that I didn't deserve it. She told me I was trash. She told me I didn't belong. She made me feel like I was nothing. Maya looked directly at Susan. But I'm not nothing. I'm somebody's daughter. I'm a person with dreams and feelings. I matter. And what you did was wrong. The courtroom erupted in applause. The judge had to bang his gavel for silence. When Elena testified, she spoke calmly but firmly. I failed my daughter, Elena said. I was so focused on my job that I didn't see her pain. But I see it now. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure no child ever has to suffer like Maya did. Elena looked at Susan. You saw a 17-year-old girl. A child. And you chose violence. You chose hate. You kicked her in the face because you didn't like where she came from. That's not stress. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. Susan's lawyer put her on the stand. It was a disaster. Do you regret your actions? The prosecutor asked. I regret that girl and her mother moved to my neighborhood, Susan said. They didn't fit in. They brought down property values. Someone had to do something. So you kicked a teenager in the face. She was being disrespectful. She was standing in line at her own graduation. She shouldn't have been there. Her family doesn't belong in Clearwater Heights. I built that neighborhood. I protected it. And then people like them move in and ruin everything. The prosecutor smiled. No further questions, Your Honor. The jury deliberated for 2 hours. Guilty on all counts. Susan Mitchell collapsed in her chair. Her lawyer tried to hold her up. She screamed. She cried. She begged for mercy. The judge showed none. Mrs. Mitchell, the judge said, you have shown complete disregard for human dignity. You used your position of power to torment innocent families. You specifically targeted minorities and vulnerable people. And when a 17-year-old girl dared to exist in your neighborhood, you physically assaulted her at what should have been one of the happiest days of her life. The judge paused. You have shown no remorse. No understanding of the pain you caused. No recognition that you did anything wrong. Susan tried to speak, but the judge held up his hand. I sentence you to 5 years in prison for assault and hate crime charges. An additional 2 years for the financial fraud. You will pay full restitution to all families you defrauded. You will pay Maya Rodriguez $1.5 million in damages. You are permanently banned from serving on any HOA board or community organization. And you will be required to complete 1,000 hours of community service working with minority youth when you are released. Susan screamed. This isn't fair. That girl is lying. They're all lying. This is reverse discrimination. I'm the victim here. Security guards dragged her from the courtroom. She kicked and screamed the whole way. Maya buried her face in her mother's shoulder and cried. Not from sadness. From relief. From validation. From justice. The trial made national news. Maya's story inspired thousands of people who had suffered similar abuse. The school board apologized publicly. They admitted they had ignored complaints about Susan. They implemented new policies to protect students and families from discrimination. The HOA board was completely restructured. They refunded all of Susan's questionable fines. They apologized to the families who had been driven away. Some of those families moved back. Maya's GoFundMe, started by her classmates, raised $200,000 for her college fund. She received scholarship offers from 10 universities. She chose Stanford, where she would study law. I want to help people, Maya said in interviews. I want to protect kids who are going through what I went through. I want to make sure bullies like Susan Mitchell can never hurt anyone again. Elena was promoted to superintendent of the entire school district. But she made one request: she wanted to teach one class each semester. She wanted to stay connected to students. She wanted to see their faces and hear their voices. I almost lost sight of what matters, Elena told the school board. I was so focused on test scores and funding that I didn't see my own daughter suffering. I won't make that mistake again. The first day of the new school year, Elena stood in front of a classroom of freshmen. Maya sat in the back, visiting before heading to college. Welcome, Elena said. I'm Dr. Rodriguez. But you can call me Dr. R. I want to tell you a story about my daughter. Elena told them everything. The harassment. The attack. The trial. The healing. Some of you might face bullies, Elena said. People who try to make you feel small. People who say you don't belong. People who hurt you with words or actions. Elena's voice was strong. I want you to know something. You do belong. You matter. You are valuable. And if someone tries to hurt you, speak up. Tell someone. Tell a teacher. Tell your parents. Tell me. Don't suffer in silence like my daughter did. A girl in the front row raised her hand. Dr. R. What if we're scared? What if the bully is powerful? Elena smiled. Then we'll be powerful together. One voice can be silenced. But 1,000 voices? That's a roar. And bullies are terrified of that sound. Maya sat in her dorm room at Stanford. Her roommate was at class. Maya had time before her next lecture. She opened her laptop and checked her email. There was a message from the Victim Services Coordinator at the correctional facility where Susan Mitchell was imprisoned. Dear Ms. Rodriguez, the email read. Susan Mitchell has requested to speak with you. She says she has something important to tell you. You are under no obligation to accept this request. Maya stared at the email for a long time. Part of her wanted to delete it. Susan had caused her so much pain. Why should Maya give her any more of her time? But another part of Maya was curious. What could Susan possibly have to say? Maya called her mother. What do you think? Maya asked. Elena was quiet for a moment. Baby, it's your choice. I'll support whatever you decide. But I will say this, facing your abuser can be empowering. It can also be traumatic. You need to decide if you're ready. Will you come with me? Maya asked. Always, Elena said. I will always be there for you. 2 weeks later, Maya and Elena sat in a visiting room at the correctional facility. Guards stood at the doors. A thick glass partition separated them from the inmate area. Susan Mitchell walked in. She looked different. Her hair was gray now. She wore prison orange. She looked small and tired and old. Susan picked up the phone on her side of the glass. Maya picked up hers. Thank you for coming, Susan said. Her voice was quiet. Maya said nothing. She just stared. I wanted to apologize, Susan continued. I know that doesn't mean anything. I know words can't fix what I did. But I need to say it. I'm sorry. Elena leaned forward. Why now? Why after all this time? Susan's eyes filled with tears. I've had a lot of time to think. To see what I really was. The other inmates here. They know what I did. They've seen the videos. They hate me. And they're right to hate me. Susan looked at Maya. You were just a kid. A good kid. A smart kid. A kid with a future. And I tried to destroy that because I was bitter and angry and hateful. I blamed you for everything I hated about my own life. What do you hate about your life? Maya asked. Susan laughed bitterly. Everything. My husband left me years ago. My kids don't talk to me. I spent my whole life trying to control everything and everyone around me because I couldn't control my own happiness. I thought if I could just keep my neighborhood perfect, if I could just keep out the wrong people, everything would be okay. But it wasn't. It was never okay. That's not my problem, Maya said. Your unhappiness doesn't excuse what you did. You're right, Susan said. It doesn't. Nothing excuses it. I just wanted you to know that you didn't deserve any of it. The problem was never you. It was always me. Maya felt tears on her cheeks. She had waited so long to hear those words. I also wanted to tell you, Susan continued, that watching you at the trial, hearing your story, seeing your strength, it broke something in me. You're 17 years old and you have more courage and dignity than I've had in my entire life. I hope you know how special you are. I do know, Maya said. My mother taught me. And I learned the hard way that I can't let people like you make me forget. Susan nodded. Good. Don't ever forget. And Maya? I know this doesn't mean anything, but I'm proud of you. For going to Stanford. For studying law. For fighting back. You're going to change the world. I know, Maya said. No thanks to you. Susan smiled sadly. No thanks to me. The guard signaled that time was up. Goodbye, Mrs. Mitchell, Maya said. Goodbye, Maya. I'm truly sorry. For everything. Maya hung up the phone. She and Elena walked out of the prison into the sunshine. How do you feel? Elena asked. Maya thought about it. I feel free. She can't hurt me anymore. She's just a sad, broken woman who wasted her life on hate. But I won't waste mine. Elena hugged her daughter tight. No, baby. You won't. Maya Rodriguez stood at a podium in front of 5,000 people. She was 19 years old. She had just won the National Youth Advocacy Award for her work with victims of harassment and discrimination. When I was 17, Maya said, a woman kicked me in the face at my graduation. She did it because she didn't like my last name. She did it because she thought she had the right to decide who belonged in her neighborhood. She did it because she thought I was powerless. Maya paused. The audience was silent. She was wrong. I wasn't powerless. I had my voice. I had my story. I had my mother standing beside me. I had people who believed me. And I had the courage to fight back. Maya looked out at the crowd. She saw faces of all colors, all ages, all backgrounds. If you're being bullied, if you're being harassed, if someone is trying to make you feel small, speak up. Tell your story. Find your people. And never, ever let anyone tell you that you don't belong. You belong everywhere. You belong in your neighborhood. You belong in your school. You belong in this world. The audience stood and applauded. Elena stood in the front row, tears streaming down her face, clapping harder than anyone. After the ceremony, reporters crowded around Maya. "What would you say to Susan Mitchell now?" one reporter asked. Maya smiled. "I would say thank you. Thank you for showing me how strong I really am. Thank you for teaching me that hate only wins if we stay silent. Thank you for making me want to fight for every kid who feels alone and scared and powerless. You tried to destroy me, but you actually made me stronger." "Have you forgiven her?" another reporter asked. Maya thought about that. "I don't know if I've forgiven her. But I've moved past her. She doesn't control my story anymore. I do." That night, Maya called her mother. "Mom, I got into Harvard Law School." Elena screamed with joy. "Baby! I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you, Mom. You taught me that one person can make a difference. That standing up for what's right matters. That we have to protect each other." "You taught me something too," Elena said. "You taught me that strength isn't about being the loudest or the most powerful. It's about getting up after someone knocks you down. It's about turning pain into purpose. You did that, Maya. You turned the worst moment of your life into a mission to help others." "We did it together," Maya said. "We'll always do it together." "Always," Elena agreed. 5 years after the attack, Elena Rodriguez retired from her position as superintendent. She opened a non-profit organization called Stand Up, Speak Out, that helped families dealing with HOA harassment and discrimination. Maya graduated from Harvard Law School at the top of her class. She joined a firm that specialized in civil rights cases. She won every single case. Susan Mitchell was released from prison after serving 4 years. She was required to wear an ankle monitor and complete her community service. She worked at a community center in a diverse neighborhood, helping at-risk youth with homework. One day, a 13-year-old girl came to the center. She was Mexican American. She was being bullied at school. Susan sat with her. "Tell me what's happening," Susan said. The girl told her story. Susan listened. She remembered another girl, years ago. A girl at graduation. "I'm going to help you," Susan told the girl. "I'm going to make sure you're safe. Because someone should have helped you before. Someone should have protected you. And I'm going to make sure that person is me." Susan couldn't undo the past. She couldn't erase the pain she caused. But she could try to do better. One kid at a time. Maya heard about it through her advocacy network. She thought about visiting Susan at the community center. But she decided against it. Susan's redemption wasn't Maya's responsibility. Maya had her own life now. A good life. A meaningful life. She was engaged to a kind man she met in law school. She lived in a beautiful apartment in the city. She had friends who loved her. She had work that mattered. And she had her mother, who visited every month, who called every day, who never stopped being her biggest champion. On the 5-year anniversary of the attack, Maya gave a speech at Clearwater High School. 5 years ago, on these grounds, I experienced one of the worst moments of my life, Maya told the students. A woman attacked me because she thought I didn't belong here. Because she thought she was better than me. Because she thought she could silence me with violence. Maya touched the small scar on her lip. She left me with this. But you know what? I'm glad it's there. It reminds me every day that I survived. That I fought back. That I won. She looked at the young faces in the audience. Some of you are facing your own battles. Maybe someone is bullying you. Maybe someone is telling you that you're not good enough, not smart enough, not the right color or religion or gender. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you want to give up. Maya's voice grew stronger. Don't. Please don't give up. Your story matters. Your voice matters. You matter. And somewhere, there's someone like my mom, someone who will believe you, who will fight for you, who will stand beside you no matter what. You just have to be brave enough to speak up. The students stood and applauded. Some were crying. Some were smiling. All of them felt something shift inside them. Hope. Strength. The belief that they could face their own Susans and survive. That night, Maya's phone buzzed with messages. Hundreds of them. Students, parents, teachers, strangers who heard her speech. Thank you for sharing your story. You inspired me to report my bully. I told my mom about the harassment I've been facing. You gave me courage. Maya smiled. This was why she did it. This was why she kept telling her story, even when it hurt to remember. Because silence protected bullies. But voices? Voices changed the world. Elena knocked on Maya's door. You ready, baby? Maya looked around her childhood bedroom one last time. Tomorrow, she was moving to Washington, D.C. for a new job. She would be working with Congress on anti-discrimination legislation. Yeah, Mom. I'm ready. They walked out together, mother and daughter, two women who had faced hate and violence and fear, and who had emerged stronger. Maya. Elena said as they got in the car. Yeah, Mom. I'm so proud of you. Not because you're successful or famous or any of that. I'm proud because you're kind. Because you care. Because you use your pain to help others. That's what makes you special. Maya hugged her mother tight. I learned from the best. They drove away from Clearwater Heights. Maya looked back one last time at the neighborhood that had caused her so much pain. But she felt no anger. Only gratitude. Because that pain had given her purpose. That darkness had taught her to find light. That kick to the face had set her on a path to help thousands of people. Susan Mitchell had tried to destroy her. Instead, she had created a warrior. And Maya Rodriguez was just getting started. Maya Rodriguez stood in the Supreme Court building. She was 29 years old now. She had just won the biggest case of her career, a landmark decision that protected families from discriminatory HOA practices nationwide. The law was called Maya's Law. Elena sat in the front row of the courtroom, her hair now gray but her eyes still bright with pride. Beside her sat Maya's 6-year-old daughter, Sophia. After the ruling, reporters surrounded Maya. How does it feel to know you've changed the law forever? A reporter asked. Maya smiled. She touched the scar on her lip, faded now but still visible. It feels like that 17-year-old girl finally got the justice she deserved, Maya said. Not just for herself, but for every family who has been bullied, harassed, or driven from their homes by people who abuse their power. That evening, Maya, Elena, and Sophia walked through a park. Sophia ran ahead, chasing butterflies. Mom, Maya said quietly. Do you remember that day? At graduation? Every detail, Elena whispered. It's burned in my memory forever. I used to hate that day. I used to wish it never happened. But now. Maya watched her daughter laugh in the sunshine. Now I'm grateful. Because if Susan hadn't kicked me, I might never have found my purpose. I might never have realized that my voice could change things. That one person's courage can inspire millions. Elena took her daughter's hand. You turned your worst moment into your greatest victory. That's not just courage, baby. That's love. Love for yourself and for everyone who comes after you. Sophia ran back to them, holding a flower. Mama. This is for you. Maya knelt down and hugged her daughter. Thank you, my love. She looked up at her mother. Both women had tears in their eyes. We did it, Mom, Maya said. We really did it. No, baby, Elena said, pulling them both into her arms. You did it. You turned pain into power. Hate into hope. And you made sure no other child will ever have to suffer like you did. As the sun set behind them, 3 generations stood together, grandmother, mother, and daughter. The girl who was kicked became the woman who changed the world. And her story? It inspired millions more to stand up, speak out, and never give up. Because that's what heroes do. They rise from the ashes stronger than before.